Walking down these empty streets, echoes of the past I meet. Lost and wandering for so long, searching for where I belong. Sunrise breaking through the night, guiding me back to the light. Every step feels like a prayer, promises hang in the air. Come back home, heal your heart, where the love never parts. Come back home, find your peace. In this place, your pain will cease. Memories of laughter and tears, answers to my deepest fears. In these walls I find my truth, washing away the years. Oh, the road was long and rough, but my spirit's had enough. Here in the sanctuary, healing feels extraordinary. Come back home, heal your heart, where the love never parts. Come back home, find your peace. In this place, your pain will cease.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Dear Brother Podcast and the Dear Sister Podcast. Again, this morning I am streaming live on both streams, on Dear Brother and Dear Sister Podcast, because again, there's some topics that I feel like can just go across both platforms, And so I'm teaching a series on shame. I started yesterday. Go check out the video from yesterday on basically, I was confronting people that bring shame into your life. A lot of times you have to really watch who you bring in your life, not for just what they say or what they do. You have to watch people that will bring shame upon your life or bring their pain to your life. It's one thing to help people. It's another thing to allow people to bring their issues into your world. And I think that that's very important. So good morning, everyone. I'm doing a series on shame again. I am streaming live from both platforms, both the Dear Brother Podcast and the Dear Sister Podcast, and I'm doing a series on shame. I have a 25-minute show for you this morning. Again, I am a dad, so on certain days of the week, I have to get my child to school, and so that's what I'll do. So we have a quick half-hour show. So I want to talk today, again, about shame. If you didn't catch the show yesterday, make sure you catch the first part of this series on shame. Catch that yesterday, from yesterday. Today, I want to talk about 6 questions that will help you break shame's hold on your life. I want to talk about that today. 6 questions that will help you break shame's hold over your life. I really want to get into that because I think that it's hard to remove anything from your life that you can't recognize. First of all, how do we recognize shame? Because you can feel shame and not be able to recognize it. So it's very important that we cover this. Let me see here. Sorry, everybody. Let me make sure that you all can. Okay. And so it's one thing to feel shame. It's another thing to know how to remove it. And so I want to really get into it because I think a lot of times when we have issues in our life, it's easy to talk about them from an emotional place, right? But in a lot of cases, we're not finding solutions to our problems. We're not finding the solutions. How do we actually get past it? Because I'm going to tell you, you need answers today. Emotionalism doesn't solve problems, right? Emotionalism allows you to feel, but then you need tools to solve problems in your life. And shame is a treacherous thing. I told you guys yesterday that shame is not a teacher. It's a terrorist. Shame will terrorize you. Shame comes to terrorize who you are. It comes to terrorize where you're going. It comes to challenge you about everything you are and say that you stand on, right? So shame is not this light thing that you just can pray about or talk about or have a good conversation about, or even go to counseling, right? Counseling will help. But when you're dealing with something like shame or guilt or doubt, there are things you have to do to remove them from your life. And today, I want to give you 6 questions. 6. I want to give you 6 questions that will help you remove shame from your life. Okay. Number one, I think the first question you got to ask yourself is, what happened to me? How did my life change, or why did my life change? Right? In order to identify shame in your life and what it's doing, the first question you have to ask is, why did this happen to me? Why? What's the cause? What's the cause? Because in life, I think a lot of times, y'all, we deal with what happened to us, right? And we get so caught up in dealing with what's upon us that we don't figure out the cause. What started this? Right? What started this? Do you know, I'm 44 and I can look back in my life or times where I remember certain things that happened to me. It's a cause, right? Don't beat yourself up. Learn not to beat yourself up about what's going on in your life initially. Don't beat yourself up at first. What you got to do is you have to look and what's the cause? What's the cause? How did this happen to me? That's how you identify where did it come from? What happened to your life? Who did you allow in your life? When did it begin? It's just like when you go to the doctor. If you tell your doctor, hey, man, my legs hurt, the first thing you're going to say is, okay, when did it start? Right? The next thing they're going to say is, oh, did you hurt yourself? Did you fall? Right? And we understand that concept with with a physician, right? We understand that, but we don't do it with ourselves emotionally, right? I don't think we give ourselves enough grace, y'all. We don't. Because again, when you're going to the doctor to fix something, you understand the question, how did this happen? And you'll recall in your mind, oh, you know what? I did trip. I think I did twist my ankle coming down the steps one day, and that way you can get to the root of the problem and you can start seeing what's going on. We have to treat ourselves the same emotionally. Right? What caused the issue in your life? So that's the first question you have to ask when it comes down to dealing with shame. What's the cause of this? Where did it begin? And for some of us, I'm going to tell you, for some things that happen in your life, it began years ago. Right? There are some things. When I do marriage counseling, a lot of times I help people understand. They say, look, I don't know. I'm just dealing with this. I'm just realizing what's going on. And the fact is, there's some things that happened to you 20 years ago that still drive your decisions today. There's some things that happened to you years ago that still drive your decisions today. So when it comes down to finding shame or dealing with shame in your life, the first thing you have to do is don't blame the first thing you see, right? Don't blame your ex, right? It's easy to blame certain things really quick in your life because as humans, we always look to blame something. Right? And it's easy to go and blame something right there. Oh, it was my ex. Oh, it was the argument I had last year. And, a lot of times it's really something from 15 years ago, 16 years ago that you've been harboring in your heart. So when it comes down to shame and recognizing it and removing it, the first question you have to ask is, how did this happen to me? What's the cause? Why do I feel the way I feel about myself? Right? Let me look in the chat. Let me see before we go on. Let me see. Good morning, Xavier. Good morning, my good brother. Good morning. Good morning. So when it comes down to shame, where did it come from? Right? You have to explore what events, who said what? Because a lot of times shame is not even driven more by an event. Shame can be driven by something you've done. But a lot of times what I found is that shame in people's lives is driven by what was said to them. Right? Words are powerful. Words are powerful. Words will stick with you. There's certain things you can be 80 years old and you still remember certain words. I don't know what the mind study is, but you hear words all your life. But some of y'all understand it, that the certain words, something you heard at 12 or 14 or something somebody said to you, it just sticks right there. And you have to identify what happened, what words, what drove this feeling of shame that has come upon me, or what did I do? What did I allow? Who did I allow to come in my life? These are the questions you have to ask, because I'm going to tell you, the reason I'm teaching about the questions you have to ask is because you don't want to live your life in the blame game. You hear what I'm saying? You don't want to live your life in the blame game. You can never get better looking to see who you can blame for where you are. You can't. You can't. Maturity, right? I got a podcast coming up that I'm going to teach about insecurity and immaturity. Insecurity and immaturity. A lot of times in our life, immaturity doesn't allow us to ask questions. What immaturity does is, who can I blame for where I am? So the first question you got to ask is, what was the cause? What did I allow in my life, right? Number two, the second question you have to ask in your life, I'm going over 6 questions to help you identify and remove shame from your life. This next question you got to ask, number 2, is what is the purpose of this thing? What is the purpose of this thing that has come upon me? Did it come to teach me something? Did it come to help me reveal something about me? What is the purpose of this pain in my life? What's the purpose of this feeling of shame? Do I need to forgive myself, right? Some of you have mastered the art of forgiving everyone but you, right? Some of you have mastered the art of forgiving so much that you've forgiven people that didn't even ask for your forgiveness. Because a lot of times the forgiveness you're seeking is really your own. Y'all hear me? A lot of times the forgiveness you're seeking is actually your own. You need to forgive you. It's not about what other people need to do. A lot of times it's you who need to get off your own back. You have become your worst enemy. I'm going to tell you, and I've been there, where you talk yourself out of greater days, right? You doubt yourself out of things. But let me tell you something. If you can converse with yourself into having bad feelings about yourself, then you can converse with yourself to feel better about who you are. If you can speak negatively in your life, you can speak positively in your life. How do we remove shame? What is the purpose of this thing? What has it come to do? What has it come to do? What has it come to grow in me? What has it come to help me remove? Let me look in the chat. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Good morning, Lifeline. What the art of seduction? Absolutely. What has happened? Right? It's an important question. Number 3, the third question you have to ask in order to remove shame from your life is, where did this come from? What was the entry point into my life? These negative feelings or whatever it is that's troubling your mind, these negative issues or negative feelings about yourself or bad self-perception, right? What's the entry point? What is the entry point? In other words, it's like a few back in the end of the last winter, the end of last winter. I'm hearing all this scratching in my roof, right? This is insane, y'all. I'm hearing this scratching in my roof, and I'm like, all right, it's probably squirrels. Come to find out, it was raccoons. And one day, out the side of my bedroom window is the bigger roof, and then it's a lower roof. This baby squirrel must have fell out of this hole that was in the roof. And this baby squirrel is sitting right by my window, squealing and going off. And I'm like, oh my God. Right? In order for us to figure out how to get these daggone raccoons out of the roof, we had to figure out, where was the entry point, right? Where was the entry point? When we called the people, come get these raccoons, they ask us, where did you see them? And I was able to say right there, when the man went up on the roof, he saw the hole that the raccoons had ate through so they could be warm for the winter, so they could live in my rooftop. You hear what I'm saying? The first thing I had to do was identify the entry point. If you're ever going to be healed from whatever it is, whether it's a physical sickness, a mental sickness, an emotional sickness, whatever's going on inwardly, the first thing you have to do is, where is the entry point? How the hell did this get in my life? How did it get there? Did I allow depression to hang on to me too long? Did I allow suppression, right? Am I surrounded by people I can't be truthful with about myself? That will drive shame. Shame will build a nest in your heart when you can't express what's going on. Shame will build a nest. Y'all hear me? Shame will build a nest in your heart if you don't have a place to talk about the things that's going on. Listen, the biggest thing to remove shame from your life is to be surrounded by people you can be honest with them about yourself. Safe place. safe place, a place where you can say, no matter what they think about you, no matter who you've been or who you are, right? Especially for many of you that listen to me that are leaders and from leadership positions, you got to be able to be surrounded with people that can say, that you can say, this is where I am. As a man, you got to be able to say, hey, bro, this is where I am. As a woman, you got to be able, because sometimes women, you're surrounded by all you have to do for your husband and for your children and for your family. And if your parents are still alive, you're so consumed with what you got to do as a nurturer, as a woman, and you're so consumed as a man with what you have to provide for and work hard for, that a lot of times we ignore the entry points in our life, how these weaknesses got in us. Right? Was I working too hard? Was I not paying enough attention to myself? Right? Where are these entry points? Is it loneliness? Right? One of the biggest weapons against men right now is loneliness. One of the biggest battles men have is loneliness. We are lonely. Men are lonely, right? Not that we don't talk. Men talk. But I'm talking about the deep expressions. A lot of times as men, the deep expressions of our heart don't come out because we don't know who will be able to connect with how we really feel. You hear me? Yeah. Yeah. Where did it come from? I'm gonna tell you, my lady the other day she said, you know what? She said, sometimes you got these moments where you're just real huffy, right? Huffy means right? And she was like, you're real huffy. And I thought about it, right? I thought about it. And I want you men, listen to me, men. When a woman says something to you, not any woman, but a woman you trust says something to you, don't be so quick to defend. Ladies, y'all hear me? When a man who loves you says something to you, don't be so quick to defend yourself. You can learn. Put your fist down and learn something about yourself. You hear me? Because a lot of times, y'all, we can't see ourselves outside of ourselves. We can't see ourselves outside of ourselves. And when somebody loves you, they're saying, this is how you are. Don't be so, no, I'm not. No, sometimes you are. And my lady was saying, sometimes you get real huffy, and don't want to talk, and you just, right? And I sat there and I said, you know what, honey, you're right. I said, you're exactly right. And then I was able to say where it came from, right? These huffy, sometimes I get these moments where I get consumed and I just feel so angry and lost and I can't find my way, right? And I think because as a visionary, I'm always thinking of what I can do. And my biggest problem is I always think about what I can do for other people. That's one of the entry points of shame in my life, where I've always thought about what I can do for other people, how I can make them feel good. And a lot of times I've ignored myself and shame has come in. Why didn't you take care of yourself? Right? There's money I've had. I remember, I'll get back to my story with my lady, but I was homeless 2 years ago, almost 3 now, in May of 2022. And God was somehow providing for me. Even I'm living in a car, I'm trying to take care of my family. This is insane. And God was somehow providing. I remember out of nowhere, and I didn't ask nobody or nothing. Someone sent me $2,000. $2,000. And listen, that's huge for a man living in a car. I just lost a 7-bedroom house. I'm trying to figure out my life. And someone sent me $2,000. I'm like, all right, this is great. One of my missionary friends years ago, she called and she said, she out of clear, she didn't know what I was going through. Nobody knew what I was going through. I was homeless. I never even told anybody I was homeless. God told me not to. I'll tell y'all why another time. But the young lady called. She said, I'm doing my mission work, Christian, and I'm working real hard. She just adopted some foster children. She had about 4 foster children. She adopted some children, not foster children. She adopted them. And she was like, look, I'm just believing God. She said, Christian, you know how our missionary life is. Again, we didn't work for anybody. I didn't work for anybody all my life. All my money came by faith, right? And so she said, look, man, I'm out here. And she said, just pray for me, right? Just pray for me. And I said, okay. And I'm sitting there and something told me, I asked her what she need. I said, well, what do you need? Like to get where you get through what you got to go through. She said, I just need probably like 1,300, pray that God would give me 1,300. She said, Christian, we're missionaries. We pray wherever we are in the world and God provides. I said, yes. So I'm sitting there the whole time. I'm in my car. I'm living in my car with this $2,000. And the Lord says, send it to her. Send her $1,500. And I'm like, okay, right? Because again, when you live by faith, you're not addicted to money, right? So even though I didn't have anything, I'm living in a car. And some of y'all right now saying you gave that woman $1,500 and you had $2,000 and you're homeless. Yes, because I'm that obedient to God, right? And I gave this money, and shame fell right upon me. Shame is evil, y'all. Shame fell right upon me. Look at you. You don't have nothing. You broke. You living in a car and somebody needed $1,500. If you didn't give that money to her, you would have money right now. Shame started, because shame has a voice and it speaks. Shame comes to break you down. That's why I'm teaching you the questions you must ask to identify shame and remove it from your life. Let me see who's in the chat. Oh God, I got 8 minutes left. Let me see y'all. Let me see who's in there. Good evening. Good evening, Ron. Good evening, Lifeline. Good evening. Good morning, y'all. I'm sorry. All right. But where did it come from? Where does shame? What's the entry point of shame in your life? Who did you date that brought shame? Right? What activity did you involve yourself in that brought shame? Right? What secret do you hold on to that's driving shame in your life? Come on, y'all. Man, look, it hurt me when I got these short shows because I really want to go in. You hear me? Who did you date? Who did you fall in love with? Right? Were you selfish too long? What? Look, search your life. Right? We search everybody. We can identify everybody else. Sometimes you got to stop and search your life and say, how did this stuff get in my life? What's the entry point? What's the entry point? Was I weak? Was I scared? Right? Was I lonely? What? Search your life as listen, brothers and sisters. I'm streaming live. Good morning, y'all. I'm streaming live from the Dear Brother podcast and the Dear Sister podcast. All right. Right. But these are the questions. I'm going over 6 questions this morning that you must ask yourself to identify and remove shame from your life. Where did it come from? Right. Reflect on the triggers in your life. Let me tell you something about triggers. Triggers are yours. I won't be able to finish this show today. Triggers are yours. There are people that will come in your life and certain things will come up, right? Come up and you'll get mad at that person. I feel like I'm talking to some people right now who are serial daters. A lot of y'all that just date, trying to look for the perfect person. A lot of times, you know what that serial dating is driven by? Shame. It's driven by shame. It's driven by you keep on looking for all this perfection in these people. And the real issue is you have triggers and you're blaming people for your triggers. Your triggers are yours. They don't belong to anybody else. I'm talking to some of you brothers out there that's like, look, I'm gonna find the right girl, and some of y'all ladies out there, I'm gonna find the right man one day. You done met 15 people. All of them can't be wrong. The problem is shame has triggers within you, and all it takes is for that person to say one thing, and it triggers you, and you're like, oh, you're the wrong person. No, they're not. No, they're not. You have a trigger that you have not dealt with. And shame is right there. So all it takes, some of us are we think we're so strong. And in reality, y'all, when you're dealing with shame, some of us we're so flimsy, because that's what shame does. It's not strong. It's so flimsy that one touch, one word, somebody says one thing to you and it throws you all the way off. It's shame in your life. It's shame. You got to find the triggers in your life, right? Where you can't take criticism. Listen, y'all hear me? I'm trying to teach y'all something. I'm trying to teach you something. Shame will drive you to a place where you can't take criticism, even constructive criticism. Shame makes you so sensitive, right? So you're protecting, you're guarding yourself. But let me tell you something. You think you're guarding yourself from people, and actually you're guarding your shame. You're keeping shame close to you. Shame is what allows you to fight off everything somebody's trying to help you. So you got to humble yourself and realize that you're not a bad person. Shame is what's driving a lot of your decision making, right? A lot of you didn't. Let me get real deep for a second. A lot of you didn't. You're not in a relationship because you love that person. A lot of times you let shame drive you to stay in relationships. You let shame drive you to stay in situations where you shouldn't be and you stayed too long. A lot of times it's shame that keeps you there. It's shame that allows you to stay with a person that's abusive to you. Shame. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You don't feel like you're worth anymore. You don't feel like you're worth anything else. Shame drives that. Why? Because what is shame? Shame is the feeling, a feeling. Y'all hear me? Shame is a feeling that undermines your authenticity. Shame is a feeling that undermines your self-worth. It makes you feel like you're nothing. That's what shame comes to do. And when shame breaks you down and makes you feel like nothing, what shame does is it lets you allow anyone in your life, right? Anyone in your life. Because when you feel unworthy, you'll stay places too long. You'll give away more than you should. You will become so self-sacrificial because shame will make you believe the more of yourself that you give away, the more someone will give you. That is a deception. You'll wind up giving your whole life away to somebody, some people, some places, and some things, and never get a return on the investment. Because when shame calls you to invest your life, it's not worried about a return. Shame wants you to give yourself away, feeling unworthy of yourself, and walk away feeling like nothing. Shame is a terrorist. It is not a teacher. Y'all hear what I'm saying? So number one, the question, let me go over them because I got to go, y'all. I got 2 minutes. My God, it's a half-hour show, y'all. I'm sorry. Some days I got a half-hour show. I got to get my baby to school, but let me finish feeding y'all before I go. Number one, 6 probing questions you must ask yourself to identify and remove shame. Number one, why did this happen to me? What's the cause? Number 2, what is the work of this feeling that's going on? Is it causing me to forgive myself? Is it causing me to check my surroundings, to feel like maybe I'm surrounded by too many snakes? Let me do my commercial break right quick. Hey, y'all, go on my website, christianwinners.com. I wrote first part. I got 3 parts of this book that I'm writing. It's an ebook. It's on my website right now on sale for $5. Removing the Shame Part 1. Who's the cause of your delay? Go get it. christianwinters.com. Go get that book right now. $5. I also have, for some of you that are very tired, right? You're tired. This book is for people that are tired mentally and emotionally. There's another ebook. It's on my website right now, Overcoming Fatigue. Go get it. $5 on sale right now. All right. So between Removing the Shame and Overcoming Fatigue, they're both available at christianwinners.com. $5 sale. Go get them right now. All right. Okay. Number 3, where did this thing come from? What's the entry point in my life? Number 4, what's the origin of this thing? What's the foundational negative beliefs I have about myself, right? How do I think about me? What's the origin? You got to start unpacking the reasons why your self-worth is going down. Don't just say, I don't feel like myself. No. That's what shame wants you to do. Shame wants you to just minimize the feeling. That's the trick of shame. Oh, I'm just not feeling well today. That can be the beginning of depression. Oh, I just had a tough week. Don't allow, that's we just fluff it off. No. That's what shame wants you to do. You got to ask yourself, interrogate yourself. Don't abuse yourself, but interrogate yourself. Because the more you question these things, the more you get a hold of yourself. Number 5, who is this thing connected to? Who is this feeling of shame connected to? Who is this thing connected to? That's a big question in our life. I said who. I didn't say what. I said who. Because I'm going to tell you right now, some of y'all, your shame is right here in your phone. Your shame is in your contacts. Oh, Christian. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. Let's cook. Sometimes your shame is right here. Your shame right here in your contact list. Your shame is at the top of your text message. Scroll. It's right here. Your shame is right in your Facebook Messenger. Some of y'all, your shame called you last night. Some of you slept with your shame last night. Oh, I know I got to go now. Ooh, buddy, you're getting my business now. Some of you are in a whole relationship with shame. Your boyfriend is your shame. Your girlfriend is your shame. Your ex is your shame. Your addiction is your shame. Your secrets are your shame, and they're keeping you bound. You gotta heal, y'all. You gotta heal. Let me see. Let me give you number 6 before I go. Number 6, what happened to me? Who was I before this? Who was I before this shame has come upon me? Who was I before this shame has come upon me? You got to start looking. How did shame start to shape my life in a negative way? Let me see. Let me see who's in the chat. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let me see. Tacoa, hey sister, good morning. I had shame that I carried from childhood. See, from childhood. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. And didn't realize it for a very long time. Yes, that's why I'm giving y'all the questions. I'm giving you the questions to ask yourself to identify. Let me see. Good morning, my brother Xavier. You're cooking today. I'm trying, my brother. I definitely be rewatching this and please do. Please do, y'all, because on my half-hour show, I gotta get to it, right? I'm over 2 minutes already. But please go back and check out all 6 of these questions you must ask yourself before I go. Hey, y'all, let me get out of here. But listen, go to my website, christianwinners.com right now. Get the first part. Who's the cause of your delay? Removing the shame. It's available right now at christianwinners.com. An ebook, okay? It's an ebook. Soon as you go in there and you order it, it will be right in your email. It will come right to you. You'll have that book in minutes, okay? It's an ebook. It's available to you right now. You go grab it. You'll have it right now. You can read it this morning on your way to work. All right. And for some of you that are dealing with mental and emotional fatigue, I wrote this ebook, Overcoming Fatigue. It's available right now on my website, christianwinners.com. Again, all these are digital downloads. Soon as you buy it, you'll have it. There's no shipping. There's no anything. You'll go to my website and you'll have that right away. All right. I was streaming live this morning, y'all, from the Dear Sister podcast and the Dear Brother podcast. I'm so sorry, y'all, that this morning I only have a half-hour show. I got to get my baby girl to school, all right? But I want to say this to you all. I want to say this, brothers, remember that you matter. You matter to me. Make sure you matter to you, all right? Stand tall. Be proud of yourself. And my dear sisters this morning, always remember your worth. Your worth is your worth. Remember your worth, sister. When you remember your worth is what keeps you out of shame. Your worth will drag you out of shame. Remember your worth and don't let anybody drag your worth down. And anybody who's in the business of dragging your worth down, remove them from your life. Listen, y'all, we're too old to keep people in your life who are tearing you apart. Y'all hear me? You're too old to keep people in your life that are tearing you apart. Remember that you matter. I got to get out of here this morning, y'all. But remember this. I love you. You are valuable. You're a tremendous person. Have a brilliant day today. And always remember this, y'all. Yesterday is what? History. And tomorrow is a mystery. All you got is right now. What you going to do with it? What you going to do about it? No fear, no shame, no compromise. Let me pray for y'all for your go. Holy Spirit, I thank you so much for my friends. I thank you for the Dear Brother podcast. I thank you for the Dear Sister podcast. I thank you for this series on shame that's helping us remove ourselves and awaken to the things that have held us up. Today, I pray a great day upon these listeners, upon my friends. I pray a great day upon them, that this day will be full of life. The day will be full of self-awareness. And most of all, I pray that today will be full of self-appreciation. I speak life into you. I speak love into you. I speak strength into you.